Physical exercise while young could help delay aging, experts say.
Mother loses peripheral vision from apparent exposure to mercury in beauty creams.
Malawi starts landmark malaria vaccination drive.
Consuming more flavanols slow cognitive decline, study says.
Student nurse performs life-saving CPR for first time on her own dad having heart attack.
WHO renames monkeypox as Mpox.
Gambia study shows high heat, a risk to pregnancy.
Statins lower risk of deadliest kind of stroke, study find. France makes condoms free for 18 to 25-year-olds.
Revolutionary therapy clears girls' incurable cancer.
Man who has just turned 100 refuses to give up his daily 3-hour gym sessions.
Ketamine for alcoholics trial goes to next stage.
New Zealanders born after 2009 banned from ever smoking in bid for cigarette-free future.
Man dies after being bitten by cat as flesh-eating bacteria takes over his blood. Popular baby food recalled over fears it could trigger health issue.
Dementia choir helps unlock memories and words.
Warning as boy, 4, swallows 52 magnets from toy.
World's first stem cell regenerates baby's heart.
Man pulls 11 teeth out and keeps them in a jar as he can't get an NHS dentist appointment. Physical exercise while young could help delay aging, experts say. Young people have been urged by health experts to engage in regular physical activity if they want to delay physical aging as they get older. Experts advise people who are worried about their physical health in old age to exercise regularly while they are still young. Professor Mike Ojurima, one of the experts, told Punch Healthwise that people should exercise regularly in order to prevent the onset of bending over as they age. Although bending over is a natural part of getting older, according to Professor Ojurima, a former president of the Nigeria Medical Association, it can be postponed with exercise even though a person's biological clock can affect when they begin bending over in old age.
Mother loses peripheral vision from apparent exposure to mercury in beauty creams. According to a case report shared exclusively with CNN, a woman in Minnesota, who used beauty products containing high levels of mercury lost some of her vision, and unintentionally put her entire family at risk of mercury poisoning. The report, shared by Dr. Erin Batdorf with the Minnesota Poison Control System, details the extensive symptoms experienced by the woman, also a mother, and how home visits conducted by the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency found high levels of the toxic chemical in her children's bedrooms, bedding, household towels and laundry area. People have no idea, Batdorf, a fellow in medical toxicology, who examined the woman in her home, told CNN. No one intentionally wants to hurt themselves, or their family members. But it's out there and you can't see it, you can't smell it. There's no way for consumers to know whether mercury is in the creams or not because it's not on the labels. The patient, whose name has been concealed to protect her identity, was referred to Batdorf's team after visiting several medical professionals about a variety of symptoms, including leg pain, insomnia, weakness in her muscles, and eventually loss of her peripheral vision. Her blood and urine were found to have elevated mercury levels after clinical tests.
Malawi starts landmark malaria vaccination drive. Malawi has started immunizing kids as part of a massive, first-ever campaign against malaria. Pharmaceutical company GSK created the RTS-S vaccine, which has been in development for more than 3 decades. Only slightly more than 30% of the 5 to 17-month-olds who received it were protected, early trials indicate. However, Malawi is confident that it will continue to play a significant part in the fight against the illness, which killed about 2,500 infants in the country 2 years ago.
Consuming more flavanols slow cognitive decline, study says. A recent study found that consuming more flavanols, antioxidants present in many fruits, vegetables, tea, and wine, may reduce the rate of memory loss. People in the study, who consumed the most flavanols, saw a 0.4 unit slower decline in cognitive score over the course of a decade than those who consumed the least. According to a study recently published in Neurology, the Medical Journal of the American Academy of Neurology, the findings persisted even after controlling for additional variables that may affect memory, such as age, sex, and smoking. According to Dr. David Katz, a specialist in preventive and lifestyle medicine and nutrition, who was not involved in the study. Flavonols are cytoprotective, which means they protect cells, including neurons. So it is possible there could be a direct impact on cognition.
Student nurse performs life-saving CPR for first time on her own dad having heart attack. A student nurse saved her father's life by performing CPR for the first time when he had a heart attack following a kickabout with his grandson. At his grandson Zach's 7th birthday celebration, Dean Finch, 65, passed out and started foaming at the mouth as he suffered a cardiac arrest. Daughter Lois sprang into action, started CPR, and then used a defibrillator to jolt his heart back to life. She had only ever practiced CPR on a medical doll while she was in training. As he participated in the Adults vs. Children 5-a-side game, Lois, 31, said he had jokingly told her and her mother Joy, 57, to get the defib ready for me minutes before he passed out. He's back at work and fully fit, according to Lois of Brigg, Lincolnshire. She added that at the age of 57, his father passed away from a heart attack. Dad was able to watch me graduate, which was so lovely, she enthused.
WHO renames monkeypox as Mpox. Monkeypox should now be generally referred to as Mpox, according to the World Health Organization. The organization stated that both names will be used concurrently for 1 year while monkeypox is phased out. The US will use the Mpox name from this point forward, according to the Biden administration, who stated that they welcome the change. More than 10 years after the virus that causes the disease was found in captive monkeys, monkeypox was given its name in 1970, according to the organization. However, the virus that causes monkeypox can be found in a variety of other animals, suggesting that monkeys were not the original host of the disease. Since the beginning of the most recent outbreak, scientists and experts have pushed for a name change to prevent stigma and discrimination.
Gambia study shows high heat, a risk to pregnancy. According to recent research, a pregnant woman's fetus may be at risk for health problems if she works in conditions of extreme heat. In the Gambia, where there is high humidity and direct sunlight, more than 90 subsistence farmers work in rice fields. They were observed by the study. According to researchers from the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, each mother's unborn child's heart rate spiked to risky levels. They discovered that as the mother's placenta was affected by the heat, the blood flow to the fetus slowed. With temperatures rising in many places, scientists are urging further study.
Statins lower risk of deadliest kind of stroke, study finds. Statin medications, as they are known, reduce the risk of a stroke brought on by a blood clot, according to doctors. An intracerebral hemorrhage is the deadliest type of stroke, but a new study demonstrates that the cheap drugs can also lower the risk of having one for the first time. When blood from an artery suddenly starts to bleed into the brain, it is known as an intracerebral hemorrhage. It's the second most common cause of a stroke after a blood clot, which is called an ischemic stroke. Stroke is frequently avoidable by making lifestyle changes like eating well, exercising, and giving up smoking. Another effective tool for preventing strokes is statins. They function by lowering fatty buildup in the arteries and preventing it from increasing to block blood flow to the brain. They are taken by hundreds of millions of people worldwide to prevent heart disease and stroke. Whether a statin can lower a person's risk of experiencing their first intracerebral hemorrhage has been the subject of debated research. The latest research, which was released on Wednesday, the 7th of December 2022, in the journal Neurology, appears to put an end to some of that discussion.
Man gets UK's first double lung transplant due to COVID. Following complications from COVID, a man from London became the first person in the UK to receive a double lung transplant. Just before Christmas of last year, Caesar Franco, 50, a resident of South London Streatham, caught COVID. Previously fit and healthy, Mr. Franco claimed, he had to be put on a ventilator and a life support system at St. Thomas Hospital within days. He underwent surgery successfully and is currently recovering at home. Mr. Franco, who was not vaccinated when he caught COVID, said, "Before I knew Things started to get worse to the point where I just couldn't breathe normally. He was admitted to the hospital after suffering from fibrosis, an inflammation and scarring of the lung tissue that prevented him from breathing on his own. He spent 5 months in intensive care before being moved to West London's Harefield Hospital, where he underwent the country's first double lung transplant in June. After the 11-hour procedure, he was released from care in August.
France makes condoms free for 18 to 25-year-olds. Beginning in January, young people in France will have free access to condoms in an effort to stop the spread of STDs, STIs. At a Thursday event for young people's health, the French president made the new health initiative official. Young people would be able to pick them up from pharmacies, according to Emmanuel Macron, who called the initiative a small revolution in prevention. The national STI rate in France increased by 30% in 2020 and 2021. According to Mr. Macron, France faces difficulties in its sexual education programs. We are not very good on this subject. The reality is very, very different from the theory, he said. The new measure works in conjunction with other health programs aimed at reducing STI transmission and expanding access to contraception.
Revolutionary therapy clears girls' incurable cancer. A groundbreaking new kind of medicine has successfully treated a teenage girl's untreatable cancer for the first time. For Alyssa's leukemia, every other treatment had failed. In order to create her a new living drug, physicians at Great Ormond Street Hospital performed a feat of biological engineering known as base editing. 6 months later, the cancer is no longer detectable, but Alyssa is still being monitored in case the cancer recurs. Alyssa, a 13-year-old Leicester resident, was diagnosed with T-cell acute lymphoblastic leukemia in May last year. T-cells are meant to act as the body's watchdogs, spotting and eliminating threats, but in Alyssa's case, they had turned dangerous and were out of control.
Man who has just turned 100 refuses to give up his daily 3-hour gym sessions. A great-granddad who recently turned 100 laughed off suggestions that he needs to slow down and is resisting stopping his daily 3-hour workouts. Les Savino claims he has been working out for a long period of time almost every day since the 80s, and he has no plans to stop now. The extremely fit OAP claims that it has a positive impact on both his physical and mental well-being, and that he will continue to defy suggestions to hang up his trainers and towel. Savino, a single man living on his own in Hanover, Pennsylvania, US, claims he lives life like his in his 30s. His visits are jam-packed with cardio, and he always arrives at the gym at 7:30 a.m. That means he's on his way home by 10:30 a.m., and he says it sets him up perfectly for the day ahead. He has plenty of time to work out with weights and completed an 8-mile bike ride in the gym last week.
Ketamine for alcoholics trial goes to next stage. Ketamine-based therapy will be made available to alcoholics as part of a research project. The £2.4 million trial, which is being led by the University of Exeter, will proceed at 7 NHS locations throughout the UK. The trial will examine whether using ketamine along with therapy could help alcoholics maintain sobriety for a longer period of time. There is an urgent need for new therapies, according to Professor Celia Morgan, the academic who conducted the study. After a Phase 2 trial revealed that ketamine and therapy treatment was secure and tolerable for heavy drinkers, the study will proceed. In a previous study, participants who received both ketamine and therapy stayed completely sober, representing 86% abstinence in their 6-month follow-up.
New Zealanders born after 2009 banned from ever smoking in bid for cigarette-free future. In an effort to completely ban smoking, New Zealand has implemented a lifetime ban on young people purchasing cigarettes. Tobacco cannot ever be sold to anyone who was born on or after January 1, 2009, according to the new law that Wellington's Ministry of Health announced 14th, Wednesday, December 2022. It implies that the legal smoking age will continue to rise. Theoretically, Someone trying to purchase a pack of cigarettes in 50 years would require identification, proving they were at least 63 years old. But health officials are hopeful that smoking will become less popular much sooner. By the year 2025, they intend to make New Zealand smoke-free. The new law also lowers the amount of nicotine permitted in tobacco that is smoked and reduces the number of retailers allowed to sell tobacco from approximately 6,000 to 600.
Man dies after being bitten by cat as flesh-eating bacteria takes over his blood. For years after being bitten by a cat, a man died from the effects of flesh-eating bacteria that entered his bloodstream and ravaged his body. In 2018, Henrik Kriegbaum Pletner adopted a cat and her tiny kittens from a shelter. However, when they got home, one of the kittens bit him on the index finger as he attempted to move them. In an effort to prevent the same thing from happening to someone else, his family has now come forward to explain what happened. Mr. Pletner thought nothing of the bite, according to his widow, until a few hours later when he noticed his hand had doubled in size. When the Danish man called a doctor, they advised him to wait until the following day, and eventually ended up at Denmark's Kolding Hospital. The 33-year-old spent a month in the hospital and had about 15 operations. But his finger's dysfunction persisted after 4 months, and the doctors decided to amputate. His mother spoke to the neighborhood media and said, he had very fluctuating health. He had a weakened immune system, pneumonia, gout and diabetes. The cat had bitten right into a blood vessel, and when a cat bites and pulls its tooth out, the hole closes and the bacteria spreads. The bacteria entered the bloodstream, according to the doctors, because of the wound. Pletner's family claims he passed away in October, but they have now made their news public in an effort to raise awareness of cat bites.
Tube riddled with toxic air particles linked to cancer that could endanger passengers. Scientists have cautioned that the crowded tube system in London is full of toxic air particles that could seriously endanger the health of passengers. According to new research, metal dust from braking trains enters people's bloodstream after being inhaled into their lungs. They result from the grinding of wheels and rails, and they have been linked to cardiovascular disease, cancer, and dementia. Every day, the tube accommodates up to 5 million passenger trips. Around the capital, more than 543 trains run at peak times. Some of them are 20,000 times smaller than a human hair, making it likely that the scope of the issue has been underestimated. High concentrations of a mineral known as magamite, an iron oxide that only forms over time, were found in the first analysis of its kind. According to the findings, the underground's poor ventilation, especially on station platforms, is to blame for the fragments being suspended for extended periods of time.
Popular baby food recalled over fears it could trigger health issue. Due to safety concerns, popular baby food manufacturer Ella's Kitchen has recalled one of its products. A batch of the manufacturer's banana multigrain baby rice has been warned may contain oats that have not been declared. This is a potential health risk for tots with celiac disease, an allergy or intolerance to oats or gluten. Additionally, the oats give the baby food a thicker texture than it should for a baby who is at least 4 months old. The affected 125 grams packets have a batch code of 27922 and a best before date of October 6, 2023. Parents are urged to watch out for these products.
Dementia Choir helps unlock memories and words. A new choir for dementia sufferers aims to utilize the power of music to ease anxiety and depression among people with dementia. With a special Christmas session, the Gloucester Dementia Choir was launched on Saturday, the 17th of December 2022, providing a safe atmosphere for mingling, singing, and enjoying music. The Gloucestershire Academy of Music, which founded the choir, claimed it was expanding on the work it already does in care facilities all over the county. A gap in music resources for those with dementia led Becky Shevis and Jenny Harrison, both of Gloucestershire, to decide to start the choir. The choir not only draws those who have dementia to participate, but also their families and caregivers.
Warning as boy, 4, swallows 52 magnets from toy. mother of a 4-year-old boy who swallowed 52 magnets from a toy and almost died, has warned parents about the risks. Jude's appendix had to be removed, and his bowel had to be cut in 5 places where the magnets got stuck. His mother, Lindsay Foley, reportedly expressed concern that she might lose him. Think twice before purchasing items for children that contain mini magnets and button batteries, Public Health Wales urged. The 34-year-old Merthyr Tydfil resident Ms. Foley expressed concern after her now 5-year-old son suffered recurrent illness over an 8-week period this summer. After concern grew, in August she took Jude to Prince Charles Hospital when he was in severe pain. Physical examinations and blood tests came back normal until something appeared on an X-ray. Ms. Foley claimed to have purchased the magnetic beads toy for her daughter Poppy, who is 8 years old. Videos on YouTube demonstrating how to create shapes, objects, and houses using the tiny magnetic balls have shown how popular the toys are with kids. However, Lindsay was unaware that over the course of a few months, her son had been ingesting 1 or 2 here or there. Jude is doing well and receiving routine checkups, but the 5-inch scar on his stomach will serve as a reminder of what happened.
World's first stem cell regenerates baby's heart. A heart surgeon claims that by performing a world-first procedure using placental stem cells, he probably saved the life of a newborn. To treat baby Finley's heart defect, Professor Massimo Caputo of the Bristol Heart Institute used cutting-edge stem cell injections. He wants to advance technology to reduce the number of operations required for congenital cardiac disease patients. Now 2 years old, Finley is the happy-growing little boy. He underwent his first open-heart surgery at Bristol Royal Hospital for Children when he was only 4 days old due to the fact that the main arteries in his heart were positioned incorrectly at birth. Sadly, the surgery did not fix the issue, and his heart function significantly declined, with the left side of his heart experiencing a severe lack of blood flow. However, a novel technique utilizing stem cells from a bank of placentas was tried. In the hopes that the cells would aid in the growth of damaged blood vessels, Professor Caputo directly injected the cells into Finley's heart. Millions of the so-called allogeneic cells were injected into Finley's heart muscle, after being grown by researchers at London's Royal Free Hospital. In Finley's case, allogeneic cells were able to regenerate damaged heart muscle, because they have the capacity to develop into tissue that is not rejected.
Man pulls 11 teeth out and keeps them in a jar as he can't get an NHS dentist appointment. After failing to get dental appointments, a man removed 11 of his own teeth. Since he was unable to receive care through the NHS, George Glinos has been performing his own dental work for about 4 years. The 67-year-old man stores the extracted teeth in a jar. Every month, he claimed, he calls a variety of surgeries, but nobody is interested in taking on new patients. The NHS advises against self-treatment and requests that people contact 111 or a nearby dental office instead. George, a resident of Childwall in Liverpool, claimed that although he hasn't scheduled an appointment in years, it is not for lack of trying.
For your daily global health news, visit www.staywellworld.org. Please do well to subscribe, like, share and comment. If you've already subscribed, turn on the notification icon so you don't miss any update. Thank you for watching.